path the viewers.
Hey, you can't call them that.
I'll call them whatever I want to.
No, that's rude. You can't just...
Do you want me to host the channel or not?
I mean, yeah, but...
Then let me do my job.
Oh my god.
Anyway, as I was saying, welcome to the channel. I am your host, Mazaroth, and here we cover tutorials and entertaining content related to the Chosen One, Blender.
Amen.
Amen. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
Hey folks, today we're going to learn how to make this snail. Let's start by making a curve. Shift-A to add, go to curve, and create a path. Next, you want to align the orientation of your curve. With your orientation set to global, hit R for rotation, Z for the axis, and 90 for the value you want to rotate by. Then push and pull points until you roughly match the shape of the object you are trying to make. Then you want to adjust the settings of your curve, namely Resolution Preview U, to be a much lower number. I like 3 as a starting point. Then add some depth to give it volume, and continue shaping. Use Alt-S as a hotkey to change the width of your curve. Don't forget to check other views, such as the front. Get as far as you can without committing the curve into geometry, and we'll move on to the next piece. Repeat similar steps for other portions of your model that could also be generated using curves. I added the mirror modifier to the quick select menu for easy access. Next we'll make the shell. When making complex shapes, it's good to understand its form before building. In this case, the shape of the shell spiral starts on the snail's right side and then travels over its back to the left, and then loops around again on the right. Keep extruding points using E to elongate your curve. With the shape roughly set, we can begin honing in on size. Keep checking multiple views until your model looks good from all sides. Think about the flow of your object and how your silhouette complements its shape. Don't forget to check your wireframe when you're building with curves, as their resolutions will dictate how easy it is to merge your model together after being converted to geometry. Try to add irregularities to your design to give it more personality. Even round objects aren't always perfectly round. Continue tweaking your curve points until you're satisfied with the result, knowing that we can push it further in the next step. With all curve pieces blocked out and their resolutions set, we can begin converting them to geometry. This can be done by going to Object, Convert, Mesh. I've also added this function to my Quick Select menu for easy access. Then you want to flatten the bottom of the model to give this guy a little PD. Click SZ0 for scale in Z-axis to 0, and flatten it out. Then delete the other half so we can get a mirror set up. Push and pull points to shape your model. This can be done relatively roughly, as we'll smooth out the points in a later step. Click Ctrl-V and smooth vertices to smooth with volume loss. I like to use hard edges to help me visualize low poly models. Select an edge and mark it with Ctrl-E, mark sharp, which causes our edges to become cyan. Then go to the Object Data Properties under Normals, enable Auto Smooth. I tend to increase the value to above 85 for organic modeling. Once we have the shape set, we want to smooth the interpolation between our vertices. Enable the Loop Tools add-on native to Blender to have access to this panel. Select a line of verts you want to smooth. Under Relax, change it to Parallel All, and click the Relax button a few times. You'll need to disable the mirror modifier because Parallel All is incompatible with it for some reason. After that, apply the mirror modifier so we can cap the ends of our model. Select the open hole, F3 to search, and type in Grid Fill. Change the values until you get a clean loop down the center of your model and then smooth it out. Next, I want to make my model wider. This is better to do with the mirror modifier applied, so we transform both sides together instead of independently. The hotkey for soft select is O on your keyboard. Then rebuild the mirror modifier so we can continue making edits to one side and have it affect both equally. Disclaimer that while you can just enable topology mirror instead of rebuilding the mirror modifier, I don't like that method, so you won't see me use it very often. It tends to break models when both are used together, and I often forget it's enabled, so I just avoid it altogether. Now I'm capping the front of the model using the same techniques at the back. At this point, I'm continuing to shape the model. Remember to enable clipping on your mirror modifier, or the two sides will separate when you smooth them. With the model of the head in place, I've decided to adjust these curves a little bit while they're still live. Set your final curve resolutions for merging to the head geometry. A resolution of 1 in the bevel will give you 6 sides. This equates to 2 adjacent faces. Continue shaping and adding more resolution as needed. If an open hole you've selected has an even number of edges, using the Relax function from Loop Tools will turn it into a perfect circle. As a last step before committing your curve, adjust the mean tilt to align with the hole you've created. Once your curves are lined up, you can commit them to geometry. Merge your models together, deleting half if one of them is using mirror modifier and the other isn't. A good technique for connecting tubes is to align it to a top view and slice through so the orientation of your open edge aligns with the surface you want to connect to. Then select 2 open edges you want to connect and bridge them with F. You can then select a side edge of that new face and continue hitting F until you close the hole. I then use the hotkey GG to edge slide the vertices so they use the normal of surrounding verts to move. This works on single verts, edge loops, and multiple edge loops at a time. Now I want to cap the feelers of the snail. You can extrude or add edge loops and scale like I'm doing here. Since this cylinder is only 6-sided, we can use F again to close the hole instead of grid fill. For the top part, since we already aligned and created a hole, select the open edges and F to fill once again. Now I want to add a loop around where the feeler connects for more support. I'm using K to cut the mesh. With auto merge enabled, I can use GG to edge slide the verts into each other to merge them. You can also select multiple verts and use the merge menu by hitting M. I'm now going to cap this portion using the same techniques. I decided to delete an edge loop and space out the existing ones I had instead. Now for the shell. Remember the mean tilt setting before committing. With the curve converted to geometry, I can now begin adding extra loops in order to connect across the surface of the model. My goal is to make this shell hollow. It can also be helpful to use Mark Sharp as a visual marker so it's easier to see verts hidden inside topology. With that set, choose a spot and start merging verts together. With the flow beginning to get established and a few verts merged, it's easier to see which faces need to be deleted. Continue following the spiral, but leave the end open for now. The end is the easiest to cap once you've deleted all interior faces. Clip verts together that merge in that center point to reduce topology and make it easier to close. You may need to alter the flow in this area for better forms. Try to focus on keeping the faces square and change the flow in spots where that isn't happening. The goal is to have a continuous edge loop around your sharp edge. Since this is a spiral, you will surely have more edge loops on the exterior of your model versus the center. We could ignore the tries this creates for now. At this point, I'm adjusting the opening of the shell to contact the body of the snail better. At this point, I also want to start forming the opening edge of the shell. In the back of the shell now, continue clipping edges together to reduce the amount of verts converging in that center point. Now that my model has been closed up and the interior face is deleted, I can now begin shifting the tries around to eliminate them. Two tries can be eliminated by connecting an edge between them. I always use the add-on Mesh Lint to help me seek out tries and n-gons. It's not native to Blender, but it is free. To add thickness to the shell, we'll use the Solidify modifier to start. Set your thickness and continue editing the outer points now that we can see its full intended volume. As much as possible, it's a general rule to align topology across multiple pieces, especially in organic models. At this point, I'm continuing to make a few more adjustments with smoothing and general form. Be sure to evaluate your model from all angles. It's a common error to have 3D models look good from one view, but not others. A good trick for smoothing out an area is to select some faces, smooth once, and then hit Ctrl+ on the numpad to grow your selection, and then smooth again. Once you're satisfied with your model, we can apply the Solidify to eliminate all those interior faces. We only need it for the edge, so do this by duplicating your model, applying the Solidify to one, and deleting it on the other. Then select a few inner loops from the one you applied it to, separate them with P, and then merge it with the other model, deleting the rest. This will leave us with a model that has a bit of interior geometry, which will be easier to cap. Our model is now complete, airtight, and quadded. I'm going to do a little surfacing treatment on it just for fun.